and I be on my I can't really see what did I miss. Ex-strippers.
On today's episode of Life as a Soldier, myself together with a team of 8 and the Padre embarked on a visit to the National Memorial Arboretum. So on our way, we went through Birmingham, Litchfield and the others. So it was a good drive. We had a really good time in the bus. So on our approach, we got there very late. We were supposed to get there around 1100 hours in the morning, but we were about 17 minutes late. We got there. The people had a good chat and a great chat, and also made fun of us for turning up late because we are soldiers. So we were directed where to parked and got inside the main auditorium. So stick with me and enjoy this. Parachute Regiment. Which one is that? SRR. Oh, okay. Special Reconnaissance Regiment. SAS. They are the baddest.
So we'll have a look around. I know you only want to see predominantly army, so we'll keep the fishers away from it and the flyers away from it. So we'll make our way down towards the Armed Force Memorial.
Yep.
The centrepiece of the arboretum. So if you haven't been before, just 50-acre site, 25,000 trees to count on the way around.
Okay.
420 memorials.
Memorial.
Dedicated to service and sacrifice.
Yep.
I say that 80% of our memorials are military. The other 20% are the charity service and organisations. So for example, the Memorial Fireplace Ambulance Service, Women's Street Ambulance, Freemasons, Red Cross, Lions Cross. All these have given service in some way. We are predominantly military, but we have got others as well. So we'll have a walk to the Armed Force Memorial, then we'll make our way round to Tank Regiment, the QAs, round to Shot at Dawn, destroying the First World War with our own shot by our own side for the military offence for Spain and all that. We'll have the parachute making signals and the household division. And we'll go to Battery Memorial as well, and the Battery Memorial.
Yeah, I think the parachute one's one of the better ones for me.
Just pick that up on the way back.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
These are overseas recipients of the Victoria Cross from the First World War, which is our highest award for valor. So in the First World War, 628 Victoria Crosses have been awarded. The Victoria Cross started in 1856 in the reign of Queen Victoria. Since then, only 1,358 Victoria Crosses have been awarded. And that's through the Crimean War, Boer War, 2 World Wars, 47 conflicts to date, so it's rarely awarded, as you know. 628 the First World War. All the British recipients of the Victoria Cross in the First World War have had a paviour laid in their town, village and city on the day of the action. So in 2014, the government at the time, that was David Cameron's Conservative government, they want to remember all these Victoria Cross of the First World War. So they sponsored this, the government. And so all the British ones are in their town visits, as I say, on the day of the action. But we're looking after these, we're custodians of these, because these were born overseas. The government didn't want them to go overseas, they wanted to stay here, so we're looking after them. So amongst others, there are 145, amongst those we've got 52 Australians, 32 Canadians, 17 Indians, 5 South Africans, as well as other nationalities. Laid on the day of the action. So I asked this question the other day to all our Amazon warriors. They're all ex-military. The Amazon where they're from. And what it is, Amazon has set this thing up in America. this is the cavalry road over here. So we've got hussars, lancers, dragoons, all part of the
Who's in the KRH battle group, do any? Dragons.
Dragon.
So they're all part of the armoured corps, aren't they?
Yeah.
So another quick question for you then. So you ride horseback, but there's the difference between them. So does anybody know the difference between lancers, hussars and dragoons? They all ride on horseback. Is it slightly going back? Right? No idea. So lancers and hussars ride into battle and fight on horseback. Dragoon guards would ride into battle and dismount to fight. So that's the difference.
That's different, okay.
It's very simple, isn't it?
The Lancers and Hussars went to that.
Good for that. Learning all that remembrance. So why it's important to remember. For the reasons it's important to remember. Any ideas? What's your idea why it's important that we remember? Yeah. That's right.
But
All these people,
to basically know where we are coming from
that's right.
and what has happened in the past. So any plans or anything that you do, you know, some people gave their life for us today.
That's
So
right.
that is it.
Right.
Yeah.
So we honour their memories.
Yeah.
For their sacrifice, we're free to do what we do today.
Yeah.
So that's why we remember. That's basically all it is. Well, this is the Armed Forces Memorial. This is the centrepiece of the Arboretum. So if we just let these youngsters pass us that. So it says the centrepiece of the Arboretum. It is the biggest memorial, but it's not the main memorial.
Yeah.
So a lot of people call it the main memorial. A lot of our volunteers, everybody in Green's a volunteer. A lot of our staff call it the main memorial, but it's not. It's the centrepiece. The main memorial is the one that's important to you. So for you, it's probably the Royal Artillery Guard, which is fine. That's your main one. You could have a tree here, you could have a paver, you could have a bench, a small memorial to your association. That's the main one for you. But this is the centrepiece. And this particular memorial was needed. There's nowhere to commemorate our armed service personnel we've lost since the end of the Second World War. But all our First and Second War losses are recorded already in our towns, villages and cities. As you know, across the UK, there's 64,000 different memorials. Nothing for after the Second World War. So an architect called Liam O'Connor created this for us. So he took his influences for this one memorial in this country. He visited Turkey, he went to Italy, he went to Java, Indonesia, went to Iraq to look at all different ideas, and this is what he came up with. Dedicated in 2007 in the presence of our late Queen and Duke of Edinburgh. Now when we go up there, you'll see there's thousands of names. There's just over 16,200 names since the end of the Second World War. So I'll tell you more about that as we go. But the sobering thing about this memorial, that's why I want to stand here to point it out to you, apart from all those names up there, all the outer wall is completely blank. And part of one of the curved walls blank. So although there's 16,200 names up there now, there's room for another 15,000 names. So it's a future. That's right. It's a sobering thought to think it's there waiting, you know, for people to give their lives. King and country now, then you say Queen and country, king. But we make our way up to the top. So we start in 1945. So each year we'll start with a serious service. Families of the fallen are invited to a private service to see the name dedicated. For that, we always have the representatives of the royal family. We'll have a military name, private service. Dedicated. Now, if you look at the walls themselves, you can see anything on the boat. 2005, out in Iraq, had to try and hit an IED, and they all died together. So once they die together, they go into alphabetical order. So they stay with their roads. So that's how it works. But if you have a look at the, just behind you there, the obelisk, that's based on Egyptian mythology. So that's our tribute to anybody who's given their lives for this country, or prepared to give their lives for this country over the centuries. So that's our tribute to them. That's based on Egyptian mythology. So they, in Egyptian mythology, they believe where the goal point of the obelisk meets the sky is where heaven meets earth. So that's the symbolism behind it. Now the sculptures, they commemorate our armed service families. You'll see those with our top. Now the artist who created those for us was a chap called Ian Rank Broadley. Now you've probably never heard of Ian Rank Broadley, or have you? Has anybody heard of Ian Rank Broadley?
No.
But I'm pretty confident you've had some of his work about your persons today. So what do you think you might have that would have something to do with Ian Rank Broadley? Well, I'll put you out your misery. He's the chap that sculptured our late Queen's head and all our British and Commonwealth coins from 1998 to 2015. Between those dates, you'll see his initials under our Queen's head by our bird. Ian Rank
Who
Broadley.
carries coins anymore?
Well, yes, I've got them.
Anyone?
Yeah. So, well, obviously I do, but yeah, you'll see his initials. Well, there you
What's
go.
it
One.
Look, it's tiny as well. It's really
I
strong.
know, I can't even see it.
Yeah. So if you ever do a quiz, that's a good time very close to it. Although no,
99, so that'd be after.
no, 98 is that's in 98 to 2015. So IRB very tiny.
Oh, actually, it's 99. No, it is 99.
Yes, so they are. Under the Queen, they're so tiny.
Can't even see it.
No, you can't. You need to blow them so big. Yeah. But anyway, he did these for us. And what I say, they commemorate our service family. So if we make our was just, I forgot to say, the criteria to be on the wall is very important. So the criteria to be on the wall is killed on duty, either in action, as an act of terrorism, or in a train exercise. So out of these 16,200 named here, there's nearly 7,000 training accidents. So obviously you know it's a dangerous profession. If you go goes wrong, you could be fatal. So since the end of the Second World War, we've got been 47 conflicts around the world. Started, just to remind you of a few, started in Palestine in 45, then we went through Korea, Malaya, Korea, Kosovo, Borneo, Cyprus, Sierra Leone, Congo, Aden, Brunei, Falklands, Northern Ireland, Iraq twice, Afghanistan, which is a handful, but 47 in all. So we're always in some kind of trouble somewhere, aren't we? Helping somebody out somewhere, some other country. But that's what it's all about, isn't it? So just go to the bronzes. So I just want to come in a bit closer.
Now that obelisk remembers who served their country.
Ian based these on classical mythology. So in classical mythology, we used to carry an injured or dead off the field of battle aloft on a stretcher. Warriors at the time would use their shield to protect them as warriors to create the stretcher to carry them off the field of battle. So Ian's incorporated shields from that remains the base of that. And that's why some of them bear chested as well. Because the stories that we hear about some of the warriors from that time, Achilles, Patroclus, all bare-chested warriors. So we call this the stretcher scene, as you can see. So what we're here, dead soldier being carried to the field of battle by 4 of our servicemen. So this chap's representing, which service is he representing? Any idea? Square colour on his tunic.
Navy.
Navy, yeah. The Navy cap down there. This one's got artillery belts, so he's representing. This one's got a flying suit and pockets for maps. So he's representing the RAF. And the chap here with a 6-pack is on there. No, they've all got 6-packs. You know, they're the infantry. You're not going to believe. Anyway, so that's the centre of Victoria across on this side. Beautiful cast bronze. Now we go to the other side, slight change of scene. This is called the Doors of Eternity.
Okay.
So what's happening now? Dead soldiers are being prepared for burial, completely naked. So the fact that because of this war, nothing so we leave them being prepared for burial by a female service person. So she represents all the female ground services today. Being assisted by a soldier from a certain part of the world. Any idea where they come from?
Commonwealth?
Gurkha, yeah.
Gurkha.
Into the Gurkha Army for over 200 years. And then you've got a stonemason, chipping yet another name into the wall. And on this side you've got a circle which is a gap in the wall. And the corresponding gap on the outer wall. If you look through there, it's looking out to green fields. So basically what I'm saying to the dead soldiers, what's life after death, whatever you may believe that is. So that's designed on the 11th day, 11th month of the hour, which is Armistice Day, the time the guns fell side of the first one. If the sun's shining, the shaft of light is coming through the gap in the wall and bisect the central line. So there's a picture of the shaft of light when it comes through on the day. So you can see why Liam O'Connor, the architect, travelled the world to look at all different ideas to get this right there. And it's really good. And we always have a service up here on that day as well. And this is when the great and good are up here as well. So all the different chiefs of staff, and we always have members of the royal family for this as well. Last year we had Edward and Sophie, sister. So that happens every year. And it's always televised as well. Now they put snippets on the television, they televise the whole thing. And they're about 2 hours worth, that would be 30 seconds. So that's what it's all about. So commemorate one of the so I'll show you the 3 points here, just in this little area here. So about the 8th one down here, James Ashworth, can you see? Victoria Cross, 21-year-old Grenadier Guard. Lost his life in Afghanistan. You probably know the story of the grenade attack. And he lost his life when he saved the others. So he was awarded Victoria Cross for that. So that's in action. Down here you've got Lee Rigby. The Fusilier was killed outside the barracks in Woolwich in 2013. So you may remember that event. Quite horrific. So that was an act of terrorism. And let's pick something different. So up there you've got Royal Air Force, that's section 21. Fisk, can you see Fisk? Yeah. Well, that was a female, that's Rachel Fisk.
Yeah.
And that was a training accident. So she was a sergeant in the RAF, and she had some new recruits that just, it was the first time up in the aircraft, and they were doing free fall, so they jumped out free fall, ready to come down with the parachutes. Having a good time enjoying doing this, it's nice and flying around. And then she said, right, it's time to go down, so pull the cords. So pull the cords, all their chutes opened perfectly, hers did not open properly. So she hit the ground at the speed, she lost her life. So there you go, the 3 in action, active terrorism trainers. Let them all go to school with themselves. This chap here, let's go back to 2020, Ethan Jones. He was 20 years of age, he joined the Royal Marines, and that was his passion to be a Marine. And it's a 32-week training course for the first section. And he got to the 30th week of this. A lot of them had dropped out that had started. They sort of got backslided. And anyway, he got to week 30. Just off the coast of Cornwall, you may remember this. He had amphibious training, and something went wrong and he got trapped underwater, so he drowned. He never actually passed away.
Have you just got a pop here?
We are, but man.
Oh, no.
135 names on here. 178 of those British troops. All their names, all the British are on the Armed Forces Memorial. All the others is coalition force, so they're not on our memorial up there. They're on this because it's their conflict down here. So when we pulled out of Basra, it was decided to bring the wall back here. and you know the wall was built out there by the soldiers at the time, made of sandstone. So we brought it back here, blocks were brought back, and they were assembled in the, you know, as it was out there, put the brass plaques on, and shortly, 6 months down the line, this sandstone was beginning to crumble in our climate, so I had to do something about that. So they encased the blocks in this red granite.
Okay.
But these are the original brass plaques, which we've just started to clean now. We try not to clean them too often. Five cores, all amalgamated in 1992 to become one core.
Okay.
Now in 1992 there were 15,000 in the core. There's something like just under 10,000 today, so the charm has been shrinking. But now with the new government, they're all talking about expanding and putting more money into it. And this is what their garden. And you might think it's a big garden, and it is, because the first corps or regiments that came here, when we first opened in 2001, our founder David Charles wasn't sure, being in the centre of the country, that it would work, not being in the south-east. Originally part there with the sheep. So there's flags.
To the green, to the black.
This was the idea for the caterpillar tracks. Any idea where that came from? So this is a piece of consecrated ground actually.
Yeah.
Apart from the chapel, it's the only thing that's consecrated here. Because the Irish regiments they wanted a piece of island, you know, in England. So it was an acre of ground consecrated, and so it represents an acre of island. To get these ladies officially in the British Army, a famous nurse herself, so for 10 points if you could tell me the name of that famous nurse all those years ago. Yeah, so I'll give you a clue, she carried a lamp.
She's on the
First name
banknote.
again. Not his name again.
10 points, well done. Yeah.
What banknote's she on?
No, don't push it. yeah. So Florence, amongst others, managed to get these ladies in the British Army. So to be a QA in 1902, their first name was Queen Alexandra's Imperial Military Nursing Service, so quite a mouthful. To be a QA in 1902, strict criteria: you had to be 25 years or older, you had to come from a middle to upper class background, and you had to be single. So consequently, when the First World War broke out, we had very few trained QA nurses. We had about just under 300. So quite clearly, that was never going to work. So the British Army changed the criteria completely, and by the end of the First World War we had over 10,000 trained QA nurses. Now they kept that name, Queen Alexandra's Imperial Military Nursing Service, till 1949, after the Second World War, and when they changed to what they call now, Queen Alexandra's Royal Army Nursing Corps. Now in 1992 another big change came for these ladies. So for another 10 points, what do you think happened in 1992? Well, did 10 points for you, so yeah. Men were allowed to become QAs. Up until then, it was all female series. Yeah.
Well, the course that we do at Sandhurst as chaplains,
Oh yeah.
the Vickers and Tarts course, as it's sometimes called,
Yeah.
the professionally qualified officers, includes nurses, and we had 2 or 3 male nurses on my course, so I guess that was the
That's
change
right.
over.
Yeah. So I'll tell you a story about one nurse from the First World War. Her name's Nellie Spindler, and
Spindler.
Yorkshire lass. She did meet all the criteria, as it turned out. She was 25, and she was middle class background. She was single, but she didn't need to be, but she was. So she joined up in Yorkshire, trained in Yorkshire, then she moved down to this part of the world, to Staffordshire, just outside Lichfield, DMS Switchington. It is now Defence Medical Services. It was in the First World War, it was training medics, so it's gone back to how it was. Over the years it's had different regiments there. Stafford Regiment was the last one that was billeted there. Anyway, So she trained there, and then she was sent out to Belgium. 3rd Battle of Ypres, known as Passchendaele. She was a staff nurse by now. So where she went to in Belgium, cleaning station number 44 it was. Now where they sited this cleaning station was totally in the wrong place, because just over the road from it was an ammunition dump. We had an ammunition dump. On the other side of the road there was a railway station. So quite quickly, when the German spies got to know, these key targets for them were there, they got the long-range guns focused in that direction. And one day, one of these shells went astray and hit cleaning station 44 where Nellie was nursing, with 5 nurses were injured. So Nellie was the most serious. She died of chest injuries. So the following day, the British Army realised this was in the wrong place. So they moved it from where it was in Brandhook to a place called Lysenhoek, which at that time was being developed as the Imperial War Grave Cemetery, or Commonwealth War Grave, we know now, big cemetery. So they moved it there, a much safer place for this cleaning station. Obviously further for people to go with the casualty, but nevertheless it was safe for everybody. So the morning Nellie was going to be buried, because they took her body there, just happened to be the morning that all the casualties were coming in from Passchendaele, so all the doctors and nurses were flat out. Now a couple of the nurses said, we must try and get away from here to go to Nellie's funeral, otherwise there'll just be the padre there, a couple of chaps lowering the coffin into the ground. So they managed to steal away. A couple of surgeons managed to get away as well, to go and pay respects to this lady. When they got there, they were right, the padre was there was 2 soldiers ready to lower it into the ground, the coffin. But what they didn't expect to see was that there was 100 officers turned out in full dress uniform, 4 generals, and the general surgeon turned out for this lady's funeral. This is the esteem they held him in. Now Nellie's buried in Lysenhoek. There's 11,000 stones there now, headstones. She's the only female. She got a big job on there, and she's keeping all those chaps in order there.
Yeah.
There's one woman in that massive big cemetery. Yeah, Nellie Spindle. So just move on a little bit, we'll have a look at post-traumatic stress. So I'll tell you the story. So Sapper Support started in 2017, and what it was a group of 5 engineers that had served together and then retired all around the same time. So they kept in touch with each other. They all lived in different parts of the country, and each year they get together and have a weekend away and have a reunion with a few drinks and one thing and another. And each year they took it in turns to organise something. Well, on this particular occasion it was a chap called Tim Evers, and so he emailed everybody, said I've arranged this venue, hotel and everything, everybody up for this, and 3 of them replied, no problem. The 4th one didn't reply, so he sent him another email, no reply, and he texted him nothing, phoned him nothing, no answer. So he decided, he was a single chap anyway, as a bachelor, so he said I must go down and see what's going on, because he's not replying. He thought something might be up, so he travelled 200 miles to where this chap lived. When he got there, knocked the door, no answer, but he could see in the porchway there was lots of old post flyers and things, so he knew something wasn't quite right. Tried the neighbours next door to see if they knew anything. Neighbours weren't in, so he waited a couple of hours till some of the neighbours sort of come back from where they'd been. Managed to catch hold of this young lady and said, excuse me sir, I've come to see my friend here. I've been struggling to get in touch with him, obviously there's no answer. Do you know what's going on? As he moved away, he said, I'm sorry to tell you, he committed suicide. And he found out that he was suffering from post-traumatic stress. Now he was devastated about this, as his mates were, because if they'd have known, they would have helped him as best they could. Because you're always encouraged to talk now, aren't you, about whatever feelings and everything, which is good. But of course he was old school and he didn't, and of course they couldn't help him. He died and his funeral had taken place. So they wanted to do something for him, so they set a charity up in his memory called Sapper Support. Being engineers made sense, so there was only 4 of them now, so they got BT phone lines, and people started to phone him. They got a bit in the press, about what was happening, post-traumatic stress, for things like that. They're feeling not right, and initially it was for engineers because they could empathise, because being engineers themselves, but they quickly realised that other regiments were getting involved and called not only army, but then the Navy started to use them, the RAF started to use them. And then within a few months, the blue lights, ambulance service, police and all those were found as well. Because they're always suffering from these sort of issues on the mind. So they realised they couldn't cope anymore. So they had to get more professional. So they got in touch with people, they raised funds to get counsellors involved, and it's become quite a big charity now. In 2017 it was voted the best UK charity in that year, and they've grown year on year. It's still called Sapper Support, but it's for everybody. And the beauty about it, it's an anonymous service, so you don't have to give any details, it doesn't go on records, so it helps a lot of people that want to have the counselling privately there. And they encourage people to come and just touch the hand of the bronze heart. You can clearly see he's anxious, and so it's a very good charity. It does lots of good work. So. But when you're going home tonight, as you're going down the motorway, if you see some building material lorries come past here, Arctics generally speaking, with curtain siders, look on the backs of the doors, because quite often they say we support Sapper Support. Because a lot of engineers went into the building business. There are lots of in that industry, and of course they support financially as well. They raise funds for them. But you spot them, once you start to look, you can't stop seeing them. They're everywhere. Yeah. So that's a little bit about that. You're welcome.
Okay, nice.
You just beat you there, yeah. It's the Ribbon of Victoria Cross, yeah. So there's 29 VCs awarded to people, the Royal Army Medical Corps, going back to the Boer War as well. So since the Victoria Cross was instigated, 10 points for you, keep your own score. There's a prize at the end, remind me to give you a prize for the winner, so there will be a prize. I can guarantee you'll be underwhelmed with the prize, but you'll get one. yeah. So 1,358 Victoria Cross will be awarded, as I said at the beginning, of the Armed Forces Memorial there. But out of those, 3 have been awarded it twice, so the Victoria Cross and Bar, and 2 of those were from the Royal Army Medical Corps. So I don't know if you've heard of any of them.
No, Shabazz.
Oh, 10 points for you, sir. No Shabazz, yeah. He won his first one at 1916 at the Battle of the Somme, his second one at 1917 at Passchendaele. Unfortunately, Passchendaele was badly injured, and he was operated on, funnily enough, by a chap called Lieutenant Colonel Arthur Martin Leake, who was already a Victoria Cross and Bar recipient. So there's a tenuous link between them both. Leake won his first one in 1902, Boer War, second one in 1914, the First World War. But he operated on Shabazz, unfortunately he died, so posthumously awarded Victoria Cross and Bar. So you just see his plaque over here.
He's raised in a really small little
In dispatches. So a very famous chap. So his family, his father was born not far from here, Sutton Coldfield, Francis. And when his father grew up, he became a clergyman. Did you know that? He became Bishop of Liverpool.
I think I did,
Yeah, became a Bishop of Liverpool. And when the First World War broke out, he had 7 children by then with his wife, and he had the Archbishop Palace. So he turned that into a convalescent home for soldiers coming back, from the war. So his eldest daughter Dorothea helped him and his wife run this convalescent home for soldiers. But the other 6 all joined up. And I was one of those. He had a twin brother, Christopher. He became a padre. Did you know that? He was awarded a military cross as well, because he did not only his padreing away from the front line, but also was in the trenches with the men as well, helping them, talking to them, praying with them, and things like that. He was awarded a military cross. He had twin sisters as well, Noel did. Mirror twins, so everything's opposite on the other as you look at them, one parting on the left and the right. Really funny mirror twins are. I met a few of them, really strange really how it all works. Anyway, so both of those became VAD nurses, voluntary detachment nurses, Mary and Marjorie. Mary became a QA, she was mentioned in dispatches as well for her valour. He had another brother, Christopher. He was a physician. Right. So the first vets were recruited in the British Army in 1796. Now the remit they had then is the same remit that they've got today in the Corps, is that make sure that animals are fit for service. So that's their job, make sure they're fit. So over the centuries we've used horses in battle, we've used dogs, we've used pigeons, carrying messages of First and Second World War, carrier pigeons. So animals have always been used. We've used bears, we've used elephants, we've used camels over the years at different things, doing different jobs. Mainly all the grunt work really, because they'll carry things and push things, elephants. So, beautiful memorial. Now, we talk about Victoria Crosses, that's our highest award for humans, but the animals have got an equivalent award. So any ideas the name of the medal for the animals? No? It's called a Dickin Medal.
What, sorry?
Dickin Medal.
Dickin Medal. So this is named after a lady called Maria Dickin. So in the First World War, this lady, she was in early 20s. She was a social worker in type of thing in the slums in London, helping the families. And she realised at that time that the animals they had, pets, weren't being looked after. And they couldn't afford to do that, these people. So she set up the PDSA, People's Dispensary for Sick Animals, which is still going today, and does a wonderful job. And so she set that up in 1915. Now in 1949, after the Second World War, she decided that animals deserve these awards for that because they do an awful lot of good. So she introduced the Dickin Medal. So several horses have been awarded the Dickin Medal, 79 in total, posthumously for a lot. Pigeons, lots of pigeons awarded, lots of dogs. Some from Afghanistan out here, the dog handlers are there as well. And one cat was awarded a Dickin Medal. It's Able Sea Cat, that was the name. So the memorial itself is set in the style of the Greek amphitheatre. It shows a tragedy of war. It's set in the most easterly part of the Arboretum, so it's the first memorial that gets the sun at dawn. As the sun comes up, it bathes the air in sunlight. Centre statue there, that is inspired by the story of a young chap called Herbert Burden, executed the Second Battle of Ypres 1915 for desertion at the age of 17. So he lied about his age to be in the British Army, because the minimum age at that time was 18. Training in this country for a year, then when 19 they could go overseas. Anyway, he lied as 440,000 more joined to be part of this great adventure. Because in those days, you have to remember, there wasn't much money about for the working family. So all these young men of the right age, 18 to 39, wanted to join up. They did, hundreds of thousands volunteered. All promised the same thing: 3 square meals a day, king shilling, new boots, uniform, adventure, what's not to like, you know. They'll all be home for Christmas, they said. This was in September 14. There was a few Christmases later when they did get home. But they all wanted part of this adventure. Of course, their younger friends and siblings wanted to be part of this. So, as long as when you got to the front of the recruitment sergeant at the desk there, you gave your right date of birth that made you 18 on paper, you were in the British Army. So, to get out was something else, but to get in was easy. But if you got to the front of the queue, put your date of birth that made you 17 or 16, that wouldn't be the end of it. No, the recruitment officer say, right, young man, you've got 3 choices now. You can either go home, sit round the fire with your mother, or you can go down to a town down the road, another town down the road, where they're recruited. Make sure you get right date of birth, and then you join the British Army. If you want to join this regiment with your friends from around here, leave this building, walk around twice, have 2 birthdays, come back in, fill out a new form. It's as easy as that to get in the British Army. To get out was something else. The youngest soldier in the British Army in the First World War, he did survive, so don't worry, he did survive, was a young chap from London called Sidney Lewis. Quite tall for his age, quite gangly chap when you see photos of him. He was 12 years of age when he joined the British Army. Yeah, now his family were quite happy for him to go because it was an income for them, you know, and it was an adventure. It was widely thought when we marched into Germany and France in the First World War, Belgium and France, the Germans would rush out the other side. But what we didn't factor in is the Germans at that time had 4 million professional soldiers. We had less than 1 million, so there was no way they were going to run away from us. So that's why he carried on so long. But going back to that young man, the 12-year-old, He did survive because he got to the second week of the Battle of the Somme. Now all the horror stories were coming back now about what's going on in the battlefields there. So his family managed to produce a birth certificate, because not many people had birth certificates those days. Managed to produce one that showed he was clearly underage. He was 13 by then, so they had to send him back home. He was quite happy to stay there. He was one of the lads. He was enjoying himself. But if he'd have stayed at the Somme, a very good chance he would have perished at the Somme. So we just move up to the north. You can sit down, it's a bit wet.
Have they made them all in this?
Yes, yeah, that's right. Yeah. So it's all, you know, recyclable plastic. So it should be the benches are done as well. So there's the central statue there of Herbert. So the first time he deserted, though, he was 16. So he deserted first time. This time he was given field punishment number 1. So I don't know if you know what that is. So what field punishment number 1 is, they tie you for up to 90 days, for 2 hours a day, in the crucified position to a gun carriage wheel. So where our troops were marching past all the different areas, they could see this punishment going on. Stretch your arms and legs for 2 hours is painful. And of course, that was to deter him not doing it again. Unfortunately, the second time he deserted, he was sent to a shot at dawn. So shot at dawn, it was traumatic obviously for the person being shot, but also for the firing squad, because the orders of the day were, where possible, the firing squad were made up of as many friends of the person being executed. The reason for it was deterrent. You couldn't refuse to do the order, because to refuse to do the order you could be court-martialed and you could be in the same place. So in the First World War, the way the British Army tried to keep the troops in line. So that's what it is. So we remember the firing squad here as well. So these 6 Junior trees behind you, they represent the firing squad.
So you'd have 6 on the firing squad.
So it could be anywhere between 2 and 36, but generally it was 12 where possible.
Only one would be live rounds, is that right? Or?
Yeah, I'll tell you that. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. No, that's fine. You're right. Yeah. So so where possible it was 12 men. So you'd have 12 soldiers. You'd have a senior officer, junior officer, padre, medical officer. That would be the core team that go out to dawn. They'll be joined by 2 other soldiers, and their role was to bring the condemned man out from where he's being held to where he's going to be executed. So they tie him to erect a post, or sometimes tie him to a chair, erect a post or a chair, tie him to the post or chair, blindfold them, tie the hands behind the back, put a target on the chest, just a bit of white paper or bandage, draw around the feet to collect the blood, and then after the execution, take the body and bury the body, and dispose of everything else. So that was the core team that go out at dawn. So I'll tell you the story about one, but before we go on, so the rifles were always preloaded. This is from reading the foliage. So Pegasus, the flying horse, the rider's Bellerophon, and legend has it that they flew into the lair of a fire-breathing monster to slay the monster. So the parachute regiment have taken this as part of their insignia, haven't they, with the flying horse. So our parachute regiment was an idea of, well, the idea the Germans had it first, but Churchill in 1940, Winston Churchill, was so impressed by what the German paratroopers were achieving, he decided he wanted his own parachute.
Steadfast love of the Lord never ceases. His mercies never come to an end. They are new every morning. So we pray for the departed, for the peace of the world, for all the armed forces of the Crown, and the Lord's Prayer together. Almighty God and eternal God, whose love in Christ we cannot be parted, either by death or life, hear our prayers and our thanksgivings for all who we remember this day. Fulfill in them the purpose of your love, and bring us all with them to your eternal joy through Jesus Christ our Lord.
Amen.
To remember their colleagues who they served alongside.
You're funny. Look at how beautiful her is. When you get closer to it, then it's not dispersing. These are all old photos or old molded stuff. Should I put them like that? Or old photos that has been exhibited all over here.
The next generations are going to see those benefits. So what we're doing now, we're providing the building blocks for the legacy for the future.
Which one? That one. Wow. Looks good. These are thousands of photos. So a proper big gallery of people who served and gave their life for art today. These are all artifacts from people who were using them back in the days.
Our meetings took our resistance further inland, but the Germans have abandoned some mountain positions on the other side of the Atlantic. And that is the end of this special news bulletin.
Radio back in the days. Okay, lovely people, we'll bring our tour to an end here. See you guys in the next vlog. Make sure you subscribe, like and comment. Peace out.